Hi, today we are at Dixon Mill-Barrett Cemetery in Harrison Township, Scioto County, Ohio. If you're driving down Dixon Mill Road, you barely notice this small cemetery. It looks small at first, mostly because you can only see two monuments as you drive by. Our very first monument we come up was a vaulted obelisk for Jacob Behr, who was born in Walkenstein, Bavaria, and died. It's like August 25th, 1875. The trend that we see a lot in this cemetery is that stones have, especially footstones, have been moved. This one's barely on its face. On the back, Amanda, if you want to take the mirror, take it over to my left. We'll use a mirror to highlight. Okay, we have Catherine Behr, born in, can't really make that out, Wambach, Bayonne, Germany, January 20th, 1813, and died December 7th, 1891. Okay, we're good there. See how effective a mirror held perpendicular to the surface creates a little bit of light in the recesses, make it easy to read. We've done a lot today as far as the couple cemeteries that we visited on adding people to find a grave and correlating them on family search. One of those here would be Gabriel Kraus, who was born June 25th, 1880 and died June 26th, 1850 at first. But if you look real close, you can see that they've went through the 0 with 1, so 1851. Unfortunately, what we've noticed in this cemetery is that a lot of the monuments are snapped at the ground. And if it's just a tablet without a base, all those markers have been knocked flat. Next to Gabriel, we have what we believe to be John, and then the first initials are SH and it ends in STER. He died October 15th, 1865, age 65 years, 7 months, and 11 days. Have a nice epitaph here at the bottom. Weep, Father dear, and take thy rest. God called him home. He thought it best. So, pretty common epitaph that we see. But unfortunately, the top of the tablet's broken. So we'll have to do a little bit more research to see if we can come up with a surname. Here is one for Caroline Mister. She's born May 1794 and died March 16th, 1886. And you can see here we have her footstone, the plinth stone or the base, and then her die. And then the iron pins are right there, still in place. This cemetery appears to be on private property. We stopped back in early winter, knocked on the door. We found out the gentleman that owns the property was a long-term care facility, and then we later found out, haven't proven though, that he has since passed away. So right now this cemetery, which doesn't have any new burials, may be in probate, it may be winding its way through the courts. But right now we can see that through the years, what would have been a large cemetery, we go all the way to that walnut tree in the distance and to the road, and then all the way to the road here, and then back where we started. This would have been all one cemetery. It really doesn't look like it. And we'll keep walking around and you'll see why. Here we have just a collective piling. We have broken markers. None of them kind of match up. You know, a couple fragments match each other, like what we would see if people were just picking up broken pieces. We also have some footstones. So here we have a marble footstone for HB, and we can connect it here to Henry Barrett, who died October 21st, 1858, age 71 years, 10 months, and 20 days. And next to him is Elizabeth, wife of the late Henry Barrett, who died, we'll have to look that one up. And then next to them, unlike these two, which are marble stones, or earlier marble stones for this area, we have this brownstone marker for Samuel H., son of, and then it's broken, unfortunately. And then you go down to the bottom right hand corner, it says Ruby G, and then we have two T's there at the end. So given its location, it's most likely a Barrett. So we have Samuel H. Barrett, son of Ruby G. Barrett. No dates yet, but unfortunately, doing this being like a disarticulated pile, this may not have came from this section. So even the Barrett portion is kind of up in the air. We say, a lot of times in cemeteries we see trends, family buried in certain areas, certain types of stones, people buried chronologically. This one's a little bit all over the place. Here next to the road, there's a very large, probably about 4 feet. It's in memory of Mrs. Rachel Sykes, who departed this life May 5th, 1835, aged 30 years, 9 months, and 19 days. The epitaph reads, "Peace to thy slumbering sacred tomb." And this is the only one here. We do have, good lines around along the back, a line here that runs on this side. There's some symmetry that we find. But with this one, there's no real apparent symmetry. We have a base. This is a good example of why this monument's still up. We have a large base, flint stone with the Barrett name, and then it says Henry Barrett died October 30th, 1871, aged 45 years, 11 months, and 27 days. We come around to the side of it, we'll see a later inscription. It says Jane F., his wife. She's born about 1833 and died about 1924. And if we come down to what appears to be the end, we have John Barrett. And we have the pin base, and you can see the pins are bent, and its base itself has sank, so it's toppled over. Okay. So, and Amanda wanted to call attention. I was saving this one. We were walking, documenting the apparent headstones and the big pile, and then we went looking for Rachel, and then on our way over to document this corner, we come across this small one, which is by far the oldest one that we found. And it says, in memory of Calvin S. Hatch, departed this life February 15th, 1822, age 7 years, 6 months, and 25 days. And you can see that hand inscription, and I'll give you an idea of what it would look like from the ground. In a couple years, if not sooner, this stone will either be broken or completely covered. And we'll get an example of one that's covered here in a second. And here's some broken fragments at the end that are likely a part of that. Now, since we're here, we wanted to find the boundaries of the cemetery, because even though there's not apparent stones, we want to see if we can locate the unapparent stones. We walked the back row from John Barrett and came across this, which is now a lot more obvious, but it wasn't when we found it. We have LL, and knowing the style and size of this marker, we know that it's a footstone. So if there's a footstone, likely there's a headstone nearby. So we kind of paced off in 6 feet in every direction and just kind of started tapping the ground. And in doing so, kind of, you feel that vibration in your foot when you have something solid. And what was solid was this marker here, which is Laura, consort of Jacob Lair Jr., who died September 3rd, 1843, age 63 years, 4 months, and 36 years, 4 months, and 2 days. And what had happened is this grass, we can see the root system here, and that's the grass on top. It had just created a carpet that completely covered it. So the only way that was apparent was its proximity to the footstone and just how it feels underfoot. So we used a little plastic knife, like your picnic knife, and cut the grass away, and now we see this marker. She wasn't in Find a Grave, so we added her as well. But Amanda, if you want to step to the side, we'll show you. This is where this marker is. And this is where the rest of the markers are, with no apparent burials in between. So if you're going to be doing any developing, you're going to build anything, since this is private property and not deeded out as a cemetery, to my knowledge, it'd be really possible for somebody to build right on top of this grave. We'll come over here. We're thinking that even though that walnut tree is not incredibly old, that it is probably the corner boundary for the cemetery. But we'll come up here, see if there's another boundary. And here we have an old tree. And we'll look here. We're on line with that one. We're on line with the marker down there. And we'll look here. It looks like we have a good boundary stone. But in what had been a tree stump that looks like it had been burnt out, we found this footstone, which is RRH. And this is, local brownstone, limestone or sandstone. It's not marble, so it's probably going to be earlier. And given on this section, we found this footstone, and then we found Miss Laird's headstone there that was early. We found Rachel Sykes, which was early, and then we found Calvin Hatch's stone. So this half from that tree to where I'm standing and then to that tree are the earliest burials that we found. And again, I'll say it again, as you can see, there's no evidence that's, really stands out that there's even a graveyard here. The only evidence of a graveyard are the later burials that have bases. All the other tablets are down and they'll likely be lost. And all the gravestones that are here in this section are already lost. But we are at Dixon Mill-Barrett Cemetery in Harrison Township, Scioto County, Ohio. And I'd like to thank you all for coming out with us today and just walking through the cemetery and helping remember the people that are here. Thanks.